ZEROPLAY guide bars quickly and easily install the sleds of all shapes and sizes. They come in either a single or a double pack. You can use a single miter bar for sleds that will only be used on one side of the blade. If you bought the double pack, you can install both guide bars on one sled that engages both miter slots. Let's start with a single guide bar. Once you have your sled built, measure the distance from the blade to the inside edge of the miter slot. The center of the slot will be that distance plus 3/8. So if the inside edge of the miter slot is 6 inches from the blade, draw a straight line on your sled parallel to the blade at 6 3/8 of an inch. After that, mark 3 dots on that line 4 inches apart on center. On the top of the sled, counterbore the 3 holes using a 1/2 inch diameter Forstner bit. Set the counterbore depth to leave 3/16 of an inch of material at the bottom. Next, drill the rest of the way through with a 1/4 inch bit. It's slightly larger than the screw. This gives you a little wiggle room to square up your sled once the miter bar is installed. Put the 2 parts of the miter bar together, insert the small Allen screws but don't tighten them all the way. Allow the bars to slide. Put a couple of nickels in the miter slot, then set the guide bar in the slot on top of the nickels. This just elevates the guide bar to the narrowest part of the miter slot for the calibration process. Gently push the top half of the guide bar forward to expand it in the slot. Don't push too hard or the sled might be too snug. You want it to just barely touch. Once the bar is fully expanded, tighten the Allen screws. Sometimes it helps to put a strip of paper on one side of the miter bar before you tighten the screws. Once you've adjusted the guide bar to fit the miter slot, screw it onto the bottom of your sled using the 832 panhead screws. Don't tighten them down all the way just yet. Push the sled back and forth a few times to make sure that it moves freely through the slot but doesn't have any side-to-side play. If it's too tight, loosen the Allen screws and start over. You pushed too hard. I told you not to do that. To engage both miter slots, the installation is basically the same. Instead of measuring from the blade, however, measure the distance between the inside edges of the 2 miter slots, because blade width changes. Add 3/8 of an inch on each side of that measurement, and that's where your holes are going to go. Taking advantage of the wiggle room and the mounting holes provided, we can square up the sled to be parallel with the blade. Just make sure that before you do this, your fence is actually parallel to the blade. If it's not, stop what you're doing right now and calibrate your fence. Then screw the guide bar on tight.